Hi, this is James Gordon O'Toole here with another summer book read. Today's book I'll be talking about today, Richard Laymon's Island. This was first published in 1995 by Headline. This edition from Leisure Books is from March 2002. This was not a good book. This was my third and will be my final time reading this novel. Oh, I absolutely hated this book. This is one of the worst novels I've read so far by Richard Laymon, along with the other two books that I read a year ago, and I absolutely hated Flesh and The Stake. This is just terrible. I tried this novel years ago, and I did not get far in it, and this time I was more determined to complete this novel, and I did, and it was a real chore to get through this book. This thing is 504 pages thick, and when it just started to get really bad, I just started plowing through this novel. It was it was absolutely terrible. I will say the idea, like the whole concept of being trapped on a tropical island with a killer on the loose, sounds fantastic, but Richard Laymon just misses the mark and just does his usual typical nonsense I've read in his other books. He's got the typical perverted protagonist that I absolutely despise, Rupert. I absolutely hated this character, along with the main villain of the novel, Wesley. There's hardly any likable characters. There's a lot of drama, arguments over stupid things, and not much happens. It's just a lot of drama and talking to read for this book, and I'm not really a fan of the whole story being told through a diary concept. I just didn't like that. I would have preferred if Richard just went with a first-person narrative instead. But oh my goodness, this book, the further I progressed, the worse it got, and then towards like the middle and ending of this book is where shit really hits the fan, and it just gets absolutely terrible. Oh, I was so angry with the decisions these characters make, especially the main character, Rupert. I want to throw this book across my room so badly and just, yell at the characters. I absolutely hated the main character a lot. Just some of the things he does just made my blood boil. And at one point, I felt like I wish I could just reach in and just basically beat the living shit out of this main character, because I absolutely fucking hated this guy. The things he does and his later actions just really angered me. Oh, this was not a good book at all. I know, like, Richard Laymon has his fan base, but this book really pushes a lot of boundaries, and I was really shocked at how far Laymon went with this novel. Like, I thought, whoa, you really are pushing boundaries here with this book. Ugh. Overall, I absolutely fucking hated this novel, and I would never read Island ever again. This is a book that I think that a lot of people wouldn't even enjoy. What the main character does in the ending, how it ends, would just frustrate you more than anything. I'll explain more about this book and the many issues and problems I had with this novel, and overall, this whole thing was a huge fucking disappointment. Alright, on to the book review, and spoiler alert, I will be giving away crucial details within the novel. Plot: Rupert Conway, a student at Belmore University and inspiring writer, is asked by his girlfriend, Connie, to come with her on vacation during spring break. He accepts and joins her family. Former wife of Wesley, Kimberly, Connie's half-sister, Andrew Collins, 60s ex-Navy, along with his wife, Billy, and Connie is their daughter, and former husband of Wesley, Duncan Beverington III, or as he likes to be called, Prince Wesley. Together they go on Wesley's yacht and head out into the Bahamas. On April Fool's Day, while Rupert and the others are having a picnic on a tropical island, the yacht suddenly explodes. Now stranded on the island with everyone believing Wesley is dead, with Firmer upset. However, Andrew, Keith, and Rupert strongly dislike Wesley, who's stated by Rupert that Wesley is a selfish, greedy asshole, while Firmer is in tears, with Andrew and Rupert showing disgust towards Wesley for blowing himself up, which angers Firma and Kimberly. While Andrew and Keith go swim out into sea to bring back anything to keep them alive, Rupert goes to explore the island, which has a thick jungle, hills that lead to waterfalls, and a lagoon below. He sits and begins writing down in a journal entry of events that happened, along with his personal thoughts on everything that's happening, planning to keep a diary. After writing, he returns to the others. Keith and Andrew have brought back supplies of food, some bottles of booze, and other items. However, no flare gun or radio, as they have no way of sending out a call for help. Rupert adds in his diary that he was originally planning on breaking up with Connie, as he felt their romance wasn't going anywhere after the trip was over. He's also secretly interested in Kimberly and Billy, as he doesn't want anyone else finding his diary. The next day, Keith is missing, as he was supposed to wake up Rupert during the night to keep watch over the others, but never did. Andrew awakens Rupert as they wake up the woman. They try calling out for him, but don't hear anything. Andrew, Billy, and Firma go searching for him, as he wants Rupert to stay and watch the woman. After making some crude jokes of what happened to Keith, with Connie telling her boyfriend off, Rupert goes into the jungle area to relieve himself. When he loses his balance and falls backwards onto a tree and sees Keith's half-naked body held up there. He quickly pulls up his swim shorts and returns to the others. He tells Andrew he found Keith, as the two go back into the jungle. As Rupert is leading Andrew to the spot, he thinks that Rupert had something to do with it, Keith's murder, and knows he's been eyeing Kimberly. Annoyed, Rupert tells off Andrew, stating he isn't strong enough to hoist up Keith's body, doesn't have the gear for it, and her daughter isn't going to fall into his arms that easily. Rupert then accuses Andrew of doing it, since he's ex-Navy. After a short argument, Andrew orders Rupert to climb up the tree and cut down Keith's body. Climbing up and using a pocket knife he brought with him, upon reaching the top of the tree, he sees Keith's face is badly smashed with his clothes missing, and the knots used to tie him up were done by someone who's a pro at this. Rupert cuts down the rope as Keith's body crashes into the ground below. Both Rupert and Andrew tell the others the bad news, with Kimberly is heartbroken. Kimberly and the others help lift up Keith's body as they wrap it up in blankets, then bury him. Andrew believes that someone has killed him during the night, and there's a killer on the loose. He wants everyone to stay close and to have someone follow them if they need to relieve themselves, to have someone come along with them. Kimberly states how stupid this is, with Andrew snapping at her, which she tells him to go to hell. After everyone leaves, Rupert takes this moment alone to update his diary and wants to ensure that Kimberly isn't harmed by the killer. While helping Billy with the dishes after eating in silence, Rupert expresses his theory on who's behind this. He strongly believes it was Wesley, since he planned out this whole trip, booking the hotel, renting the yacht, and even finding this island. When Billy asks the motive for doing this, Rupert theorizes that Wesley married Firma so he could get her money, as she's very rich, and picked this island so he could murder everyone off, as it would be easy to cover up the crime scene. Billy agrees that they haven't found any remains of Wesley floating in the water, along with him being the only one on the yacht. When Rupert and Billy bring up the theory to Andrew, along with the others, he agrees, since he did plan out this whole trip along with picking this island out for them to visit. Firma is of course against it, stating Wesley would never do something like this, but believes that someone else is the killer, which leads to an argument with Rupert leaving the group to update his diary. Meanwhile, Kimberly has helped Andrew make spears, clubs, and a makeshift tomahawks. During that night, both Rupert and Connie are tasked with watching over the others, as neither one likes each other anymore. The following morning, they notice a dinghy is floating out in front of them. While Andrew and the others wake up, he asks where it came from, which Rupert and Connie don't know, as he suspects they were fooling around last night. Connie tells Andrew off and plans to get the small boat, knowing it's their only way off the island. Andrew swims out to the dinghy, with Kimberly goes out to help her father. Just as Andrew reaches the boat, suddenly a person rises from behind him holding an axe and swings it down onto Andrew's head, killing him, and pulls the body under the water. Kimberly swims away as the killer takes the small boat and flees. Kimberly goes to get her father's body, as Rupert is nearly sickened by what he sees. Andrew's head is split right down to the middle to his jaw. Kimberly takes her father's body out into sea, as he wanted a burial at sea. As they return to the others to inform them that Andrew is dead, they all have a quiet dinner. Kimberly then reveals who the killer is. It's Wesley. The others are shocked, however Firma refuses to believe them and storms off. The group discusses how to fight against Wesley, as they believe he's hiding somewhere in the jungle. They plan to ambush Wesley, however the plan easily falls apart after Connie gets into a pointless argument with Rupert as she attacks him, forcing Rupert to fight her off and knock her out. Then Firmer awakens from sleeping, calling out the others and tries starting a fight over what Rupert did to Connie. He leaves to check on Kimberly, who went alone in the jungle. Armed with a makeshift tomahawk, Rupert goes into the jungle and sees a shadowy figure. He calls out thinking it's Kimberly, but the person reveals it's Wesley. He approaches Rupert fully naked, armed with an axe with an evil grin. Rupert throws his tomahawk as it nearly hits Wesley, running away with Wesley chasing after him through the jungle. Rupert avoids running into the trees, sees Kimberly up ahead. She yells at Rupert to get down as he dives towards the sand, with Kimberly throwing her spear and scores a shot on Wesley's chest. He groans in pain with Kimberly pulling the spear out as he tries to flee, but she stabs him in the butt. As Rupert takes the axe and goes to finish off Wesley, Firmer suddenly appears and fights off the two along with Billy, allowing Wesley to escape, with Firmer joining him. They return to the beach while recovering from their wounds. Connie and Rupert get into another argument, with the two avoiding each other as possible. When he is becoming closer to both Kimberly and Billy, they plan to rest and go searching for Wesley, while theorizing if Firmer was in on it from the start, or was she be killed, since they strongly believe that Wesley plans to murder them and collect the wife's insurance money to make himself rich. Rupert updates his diary while watching Kimberly dancing around while swinging the axe on the beach. The group searches through the jungle and explores more of the lagoon, with the woman swimming in it, with Rupert standing on guard as Billy flirts with him. Connie bathes herself under the waterfalls, with Rupert checking on her, which she tells him off, then is struck in the head by a rock, knocking her out cold. Rupert helps bring her over to Billy and Kimberly as they carry her back to the beach and tie a shirt around her head to stop the bleeding. The following morning, Rupert is writing in his diary when suddenly Firmer appears out of the jungle. Rupert picks up the axe and orders her to stop and raise her hands. Kimberly, Billy, and Connie appear with the spears at the ready. Firmer claims that Wesley used her and assaulted her after he told her his secret base on the island after she killed him. However, nobody believes her, and they order her to stand next to a tree as they tie her up. Firmer tries reasoning with everyone, with Connie slapping her hard across the face to be quiet, while the others are out hunting for fish. Firmer is able to fool Rupert into untying her and tries to reason that Wesley isn't the bad guy, stating Keith and Andrew abused their wives and daughters. She then tries to seduce Rupert as he orders her to stop. Firmer then pulls out a straight razor and tries to slash at Rupert as he blocks the attack with the axe. However, Firmer gets on top of him, with Rupert calling for help, trying to keep the razor from cutting him. When Kimberly comes to help, Firmer knocks her down and runs off. The others are annoyed with Rupert. However, this proves that Firmer is aiding Wesley on killing them. The group returns to the jungle area on trying to find the two killers, only for things to go from bad to worse, leaving Rupert all alone on the island. He's about to make a shocking discovery that only shows the twisted and sick world Wesley and Firmer enjoy living in. Can Rupert outsmart the two killers and save the woman? Or does he have other ideas while trapped on this island? Island is one of the worst thriller horror novels I have ever read, with a shitty ending that really made my blood boil. From a cast of mostly unlikable and annoying characters, with one of the worst protagonists I have ever read, to the point where I just wanted him to die badly as the two villains within this story. Despite the location where the story takes place, with many moments of beautiful scenery on the tropical island, however, it is enough to save this terrible novel. Just like the start of the novel, how it just throws you into the story with no prologue or opening scene, as there are many moments where Rupert explains a lot of backstory, and I would have rather had Laymon write a opening scene or prologue leading to the events on the island would have been better, as getting to know the characters of the story progress than just shoving everything down your throat on page 1. Wasn't a fan of the story being told through diary entries, as I would have rather it been told through first person instead. The whole diary thing didn't make this novel any better. The pacing was either decent or would drag on, with scenes of mostly the drama and talky parts. Hated most of the characters within this novel. Connie was one of the most annoying, as all she does throughout the novel is bitch and complain about everything, start arguments over the stupidest things, and later goes insane with her screaming her bloody head off. Just made me want her to die. Andrew would be rude and ignorant towards Rupert and bossy at times. Firmer is a total wreck throughout the novel, and her true identity revealed towards the end, and she too gets on my nerves. Some of the characters make some of the worst choices that nearly cost them their lives, along with failing to take action when they had the chance, such as the scene where Firmer suddenly turns on them while fighting off Wesley, and they all stand there doing nothing as she easily knocks them down and defends Wesley, with none of them fighting back. Then they're stupid enough to allow Firmer back into the group for her only to nearly kill Rupert after letting his guard down, when they should have dispatched her at once. Later on in the novel, Karen goes off running on her own to hunt down Wesley. Billy begins sitting on the top of her lunge, which could have given away their positions, which could have ended badly. This scene just made me shake my head in disbelief and annoyed me. And how two of the toughest women, Kimberly and Billy, were easily captured when they both were armed is beyond me, as these were the only two characters I cared for in the story. But by far the worst characters I hated the most within this novel were Wesley and Rupert. One of the most despicable characters I have ever read. A sick, twisted psychopath who gets off on murdering people, then beating and raping women for fun, even underage girls, too. And enjoys watching women fight each other for a price while jacking off to it. Rupert was just as bad as Wesley. At the start of the novel, he's just an everyday, nerdy guy who enjoys eyeing the beautiful woman around him while writing his dirty thoughts in his diary over and over and over again, which got annoying. He could be nice at times, then act like a selfish jerk, along with making some really bad choices, a few that nearly costed him his life. However, towards the middle and final act of the novel, Rupert's views begin to change, with him fantasizing on having sex with other women and takes pleasure in seeing naked women and the two young girls in cages, stating they are his women now, along with having sex with Billy while she's in her cage. Having to read the twisted and disgusting views of Rupert and what he does at the end really made my blood boil, along with Wesley's crude methods of pleasing himself. Not much action happens within this novel. A lot of talking, drama, arguments over stupid things, and lots of backtracking to read for the many diary entries. When we do get some death scenes, they are short and brutal, as I wanted more carnage and didn't get it. The fights are too short, with a mixed bag of characters that easily get tired out or beaten without much trouble. The scenes of Rupert fighting Firmer could have been a lot better and more brutal, as she is easily defeated, and the final scene with Wesley could have been way better than what I got. And again, Rupert causes the death of Kimberly after telling her to stop fighting Wesley, as he only knows where the keys for the cages, which in hindsight Rupert could have easily found them on his own and made the right choice of freeing the woman and escaping the island. But nope, Rupert just had to let his perverted fantasies become a reality. Reading the shitty ending made me want to throw this novel across my room. The whole concept of being trapped on a tropical island with a killer and loose is great, but Laymon completely misses the mark by adding a bunch of annoying, unlikable characters, an awful protagonist that will anger you more than anything else, no prologue or opening scene, short yet cheap kills, but by far the worst thing about Island is how long this novel is. 504 pages is way too long. If Laymon wanted to make this a thick novel, he should have delivered a real knockout with lots of violence, gore, better action, along with a better main character. Hell, I would rather had Kimberly than the little shit-stained Rupert. If not, then cut down on the pages. A novel like this doesn't need to be so damn long. I also wish Laymon made Island more of a slasher novel, as it feels more like a thriller at times with some elements of crime. Had he done this, Island could have been way better than the version he wrote instead. Overall, I strongly don't recommend Island. It's by far the worst horror novel I have read Richard Laymon since Flesh and the Stake. There are several other better novels with characters trapped on islands, even movies too. Just avoid this awful novel. It isn't worth reading nor wasting your time with. It has nothing redeeming about it, and the most part will just frustrate you. Just avoid Island. And that's our review today, and holy shit, what a absolute fucking terrible novel this was. I absolutely hated Island. I just hated it. This was a novel that I tried many years ago when I first discovered Richard Laymon, and I really didn't know that his writing style and some, the common things he does are very different from other authors I read, such as, Stephen King, Sean Hudson, and a couple others. And the first time I tried Island, I didn't get far in it. I quit reading it after at the part where Firmer suddenly turns on the group and easily beats them and then keeps them at bay while Wesley and her run off. And that scene really pissed me off, and I didn't want to read that book. Then, of course, years later, I decided to give this book another try, and I was determined to read it. I was going to read it no matter how bad it got, and holy shit, it really did test my... It really did test me, because there were a couple times I just wanted to stop reading, because the book just got worse the further I progressed in it, with hardly any likable characters. I really despise Rupert the most. I absolutely fucking hated this guy, to the point where I wanted to insert myself in this book and just beat the shit out of him, kill him, and then save the other characters so they didn't have to deal with his bullshit. Oh, oh man. The one thing I will say this book has going for is like it's got some really beautiful scenery in it. Like the detail of the tropical island is great. Like there's some really great scenery in this novel. I thought if only this book could have been so much better. So as I said, the book just like page one, it just starts you right off where it like the story just starts off like boom, it just starts right off with page one on the whole. The yacht explodes, and then Rupert is like explaining all this like backstory and how they got there and stuff. And I thought, Richard, you could have put an opening scene or a prologue, like introduce the character and then have like him follow the main character leading up to the island. That would have been better, and then we could have got to know the other characters while reading, and then lead to the island. That would have been better, but nope, he just starts off on the island right away. So I didn't like that, and as I said, the diary entry thing I wasn't really a fan of it, because later on it starts to feel more like a kind of like just like a typical book where it's told through like first person narrative, and the whole diary thing I just didn't like. The only time I've read something that's like a diary entry that I liked was when I read Planet of the Apes, where the couple finds the bottle floating in space, and they bring it on board their ship and they start reading it and it's telling the story. That I liked. The way Laymon did this, I did not like it at all. And I absolutely hated the characters in this book. There was not like a single character I did like. The only two characters that I really cared for in this book were Kimberly and Billy. Those are the only two characters I like, and I actually wish Kimberly was the main character instead. She's just a better character. She's very likable, she's friendly, very helpful, caring. She's very skilled in weaponry, and I thought this is what the novel should have had: a badass protagonist instead of the shit-stained Rupert that Richard threw in. As I said, I absolutely despise Rupert. He is one of the worst protagonists I ever read in a book. Some of the things he does just really angered me, and I thought to myself, Richard, what the fuck were you thinking, giving a protagonist like this? Like, he's bad as Wesley is. He might as well join Wesley instead. It was just the actions he does really pissed me off, and what he really does at the end really angered me. And this is the one the things that annoys me with Richard Laymon's writing. He constantly has to have the main character describe how a woman looks constantly throughout the book, and he has to keep repeating the words buttocks, rump, breasts, and blouse. He has to keep repeating these words over and over again, and it's really annoying just having to read the main character saying something that I've already heard before. I really hated that. So Rupert is an absolute shit stain. I absolutely hate this guy. And the other male characters, I really did. Well, Keith, we don't really get to know much, so I don't know if he was any better than the other group. Andrew, I found very bossy and just a very arrogant character. I didn't like him. And of course, the other characters I really hate. Firmer is annoying, and she's an absolute wreck in the book. And holy shit, Connie is so goddamn annoying to the point where I wanted her to die so badly. I just wanted her to die. I couldn't stand her. She starts the most stupidest arguments over the most pointless things, and I just screaming at her and yelling her head off. And I thought, shut the fuck up. I just fucking hated this character. And then, of course, we're introduced to the two villains of the story. Wesley, who's an absolute scumbag. I despise this character, and the things he does really made my blood boil. I really hate this character, and I wanted a real good showdown with Rupert finally beating this guy, or Cameron would have been better, or Billy, but nope, I didn't get that. The deaths of Firmer and Wesley are just terrible. It's like I wanted them to die like a horrible deaths, and Richard Laymon just gave me like cheap death scenes. I thought, you suck. And this book, as I said at the beginning, this book really pushes some boundaries. As I'm reading this, I'm thinking, I start to have some theories, like as the character, like as the days go by and the characters are trying to like outsmart Wesley and Firma. I'm thinking to myself, has he done this before? And I start to theorize, what if Wesley is a serial killer and this isn't the first time he's done this before? And we would later on find some, like, you know, when you find a secret base on the island, which I actually envisioned would be like this secret underground base in a cave, and he's got like the cages set up and like a kind of like a bunk bed with supplies and stuff to stay alive on the island with weapons. And it would like have like newspaper articles of missing people and stuff, and he's like his Mentos and stuff, and he keeps like pieces of the victims as like Mentos and stuff. No, that scene doesn't happen. So then, as I'm reading this book, spoiler alert, Rupert discovers a house on the island. I'm thinking to myself, house? Wait a minute, I've read this before somewhere, and then I instantly remember the short story, The Most Dangerous Game, and I'm thinking, is this where Rich Laymon got the idea from? Is Wesley recreating The Most Dangerous Game in his own twisted version? But it turns out, nope. The house is there for another reason, which I'm not going to reveal. But when Rupert enters the house, there is this scene that absolutely shocked me, and I thought, whoa, Laymon, you really are pushing the boundaries with this story, as this features this awful scene where Wesley is like sitting in a chair, naked of course, and he forces an underage girl to wrestle Firma, which she's badly beaten, and I was like, geez, this really is just, ugh. It was a very rough scene to read through, and then of course when Rupert finds the other woman in cages, it's a really shocking scene, and when he finds Billy and Kimberly there, I thought, how the hell did these two get captured? They're like the more tougher of the two. They should have easily fought off Firma and Wesley, but somehow they got captured, and it's never explained how. And then, of course, then there's a scene where Rupert sneaks in, tries to get the keys, and it leads to this stupid scene where Firma awakens, and she holds him at knife point, and he's frightened to cut her, and he doesn't do anything. He runs off, and they get into this like kind of like fight in the water, and she ends up drowning, and it's like, really? You're gonna give me a cheap death, Laymon? Come on, give me something better. Oh, and then the finale where Wesley, where Rupert goes to fight off Wesley, and what he does gets Kimberly killed, of course. And I thought, you stupid asshole. Oh, and then of course he decides to keep the woman as his prisoners now, and decides to like stay in the island. I was like, Rupert, you suck ass. And then later on in the book, some of the characters make some really bad choices besides Rupert. When Kimberly gets into a heated argument, she runs off to go find Wesley, and so Rupert, Billy, and Connie have to go find her. And while they're in the jungle and they're swatting mosquitoes, Billy decides to start singing for no reason. And I thought, what the hell are you doing? Are you trying to give away your position for Wesley and Firma to find you? Oh, it just really, that scene really annoyed me. And then when Firma returns and she tries to lie to the group, stating that Wesley was using her, and they of course don't believe her, I thought, dispatch this bitch at once. Just kill her, and that way you have one less person to do it. No, they make the mistake of tying her up, and then Rupert, letting his perverted fantasies get the better of him, unties her, and then she tries to seduce him, which just nearly cost him his life, and she nearly kills this guy. I'm like, Rupert, you stupid idiot. You couldn't keep your dick out of your shorts for a few moments. You just had to fiddle around when you shouldn't have. Ugh. And then there's some other choices that the characters make that really annoy me. I thought, oh my goodness, I really wish Laymon had some more likable characters in this novel. So, overall, just avoid this book. This isn't worth reading. This will just piss you off more than anything else. And I really just couldn't believe how bad this book is. I thought Laymon had an interesting idea, but he completely fucks it up by adding his typical bullshit and other things that I really didn't like. And I'm thinking to myself, if you were to ask another horror writer to write their own version, they could do a way better job than what Laymon could have done. And as of now, Laymon is kind of a love-hate relationship with me, as I like Laymon's short fiction, as I read 2 short stories by him that I really enjoyed. The Tub and Mess Hall. However, I haven't read a single novel by him I like. That's kind of the same issue I have with Clive Barker at the moment. I like Clive Barker's short fiction, but I haven't read a novel by Clive Barker that I like yet. So I am hoping one day I'll find a few novels by Laymon to like, but so far I haven't found a single one yet, and This is the one I really hate the most. This has now like gone to the top of like top Richard Laymon novels that I hate. With the other two I've read in the past, I absolutely did not like. Flesh and the Steak. Ugh. So I am hoping one day that I will find a Richard Laymon novel that I will like, and I have a collection of short stories that I will have to read on the channel sometime. Alright, that's the review today. I hope you enjoyed it, and as I said, just avoid Island. It's a fucking terrible book. After reading this shitty book, I pulled out a collection of short stories by Phil Dick to read as a power cleanser, just to make me feel better, and I got some other summer-themed horror novels I'll be reading next. Alright, that's the review today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to October Library, the YouTube channel where I post book reviews and other fiction-related content. Until then, I'll catch you later.